Hello, I'm Kathy Jameson, the Proposition Lady, and I'm here to help you understand the state propositions on your 2024 California election ballot. Today I'm going to talk about Prop 35, the Managed Care Organization Tax Authorization Initiative. This ballot measure seeks to make permanent a tax on managed care organizations and ensure the proceeds of that tax are used to fund California's health safety net. A managed care organization, or MCO, is an organization that provides health insurance for a monthly fee. Kaiser, Anthem Blue Cross, and Blue Shield of California are all examples of managed care organizations. MCOs oversee health care benefits for people with private insurance, but also for those enrolled in Medi-Cal, California's health insurance program for low-income people. California taxes managed care organizations and uses the revenue to access matching federal funds. The MCO tax is unusual in that the primary benefit of the tax is the amount of federal money we receive because of the tax, between $7 and $8 billion per year, which is generally used to support the Medi-Cal system. Because the MCO tax unlocks additional federal funding, the federal government must approve these taxes. So every few years, California asks for approval to renew the tax. Prop 35 does not guarantee permanent federal funding, which could change if the federal policy is changed, but it requires the state to request federal approval for the MCO tax on an ongoing basis. If you want to require California to renew the MCO tax as needed, you may want to vote yes on Prop 35. But if you think it's unnecessary to require it because California does it anyway, you may want to vote no. Revenue from this tax goes into California's general budget fund, allowing lawmakers to apply the revenue toward non-healthcare related costs if they want to. If Prop 35 passes, the proceeds from the MCO tax will go into a dedicated fund that can only be spent on healthcare. This is the main effect of Prop 35. Supporters say that without dedicated funding, the Medi-Cal program is at risk. They want to keep healthcare funds off the chopping block when lawmakers face a budget shortfall. If you believe that proceeds from the tax on managed care organizations should only be spent on healthcare, you'll want to vote yes on Prop 35. The California legislature is required by law to balance the budget each year. Opponents of Prop 35 say that taking proceeds from the MCO tax out of the general fund limits lawmakers' flexibility when trying to balance the budget. Every time we pass a ballot measure that dedicates funds to a specific purpose, we divert money away from the general fund. If we haven't got enough money in the general fund to balance the budget, programs not earmarked for coverage can be cut. During the Great Recession, lawmakers cut safety net programs like subsidized childcare and income support for the elderly and disabled. Prop 35 also requires funds generated by the tax to be spent at the end of each year, starting in 2027. Currently, lawmakers can opt to save some of that money for later use. If you're afraid that we're making it harder for lawmakers to balance the budget by earmarking money from the MCO tax for healthcare, you'll want to vote no on Prop 35. In recent years, California has expanded the Medi-Cal program to include coverage for things like dental work, hearing aids, and doulas, and we've added income eligibility requirements that kick in regardless of immigration status. As a result of these changes, we have more people in the plan and we cover more services. But reimbursements to healthcare providers have not increased by much, so we don't have enough providers to meet the needs of those enrolled in Medi-Cal. The budget plan passed by lawmakers this year includes money for rate increases to Medi-Cal healthcare providers. But due to budget shortfalls, the increase was less than intended. Prop 35 aims to ensure reimbursement rates are high enough to expand the number of Medi-Cal providers across the state. If you think it's essential to expand the existing Medi-Cal provider network, you may want to vote yes on Prop 35. Prop 35 includes oversight and accountability measures and requires the state controller to perform independent audits. It also creates a committee so industry stakeholders can advise the Department of Healthcare Services on how best to allocate the funds. In the short term, the Legislative Analyst's Office estimates Prop 35 will result in a $2 to $5 billion annual increase in funding for Medi-Cal, but it could cost California roughly $1 to $2 billion more per year. It's harder to estimate the fiscal effects in the long term. A lot depends on the actions of California lawmakers and possible changes to federal policy. If you like the idea of increased funding for Medi-Cal, but are afraid we just can't afford it, you may want to vote no on Prop 35. Even though Governor Newsom is opposed to Prop 35, it's supported by both the Democratic and Republican parties of California. We don't often see an issue that both parties agree on, so that's exciting. When we follow the money, we find that at the end of August, roughly $33 million has been raised in support of Prop 35, with the money coming mainly from hospitals and healthcare organizations. No money has been raised in opposition. If this difference holds up through the election, you can expect to see more ads supporting Prop 35 than opposing it. Sometimes you can be swayed by the mere exposure to advertisements, so just remember that one side has more money than the other, and be sure to consider all the pros and cons of Prop 35 before making a decision. If Prop 35 passes, revenue from the tax on MCOs will be earmarked specifically for healthcare, ensuring the continued functionality of the Medi-Cal program. But if we do that, we may be limiting the ability of lawmakers to pass a balanced budget. I'm Kathy Jameson, the Proposition Lady, and I appreciate you being here with me today. See you soon, California voters. Bye now.